Well, welcome everyone. My name is Robert Crosby. I am the Troop Ministry Liaison for Trail Life USA Troop California 8859. This is a ministry of Legacy Christian School or Legacy Learning Center, PSP. A lot of you are probably connected to Legacy, but it's okay if you're not. There's a lot of folks who have found out through word of mouth or have found us through the Trail Life website, the Troop Finder, and that's wonderful. We have a lot of folks in our troop are from Legacy, a lot of them that aren't, a lot of homeschool families, and some that aren't homeschool, and they're more traditional programs. Um, but I am as it sounds, the liaison between the ministry, that's the school, and the troop. So I'm the official representative of the school for everything that pertains to the troop. So I'm kind of behind the scenes. I try to be behind the scenes as much as I can, working on logistical things, helping with enrollment like we're doing right now, and helping find great leaders and equipping great leaders who can step in and do a great job running the program for our families. I think I have. There's Carlos. Carlos, do you want to say hi? I think you're the only one we have from the board right now. Do you want to say hello and then we'll get into the content?
Well, hello. I'm the troop master for the troop here. Welcome to everybody. Thank you for being here. Hopefully, you guys get a lot of good information from this. And if there's any questions, obviously, we're here to answer anything that you guys may have. But welcome, welcome.
So that's Carlos. He is our troop master, like you just said. We have a board that runs the program. Part of the values of Trail Life is shared leadership. We don't want one person doing everything. And so we try to share that as much as we can. We're a new troop. We actually got started about this time last year with our initial recruitment for our inaugural year. I think it's been a great experience for folks. We've learned a lot. We've had a lot of success. A lot of folks have shared that they've been deeply impacted by their time with us, which is exciting. But we have a little bit of room and we'd love to grow. And that's why we're looking for new families who feel like this would be a blessing to them. I'm sure you'd be a blessing to our troop. And that's what we're up to. So let's go ahead and take a look. So there we go. So what is trail life? So I know some people might already be familiar with trail life. Maybe you were in a troop before. Others may have only heard a little bit about it. It's often described colloquially as a Christian Boy Scouts, and there's some truth to that. It's not exactly the same thing, but there's some truth to that. But it's guided by the mission. So this is the mission of Trail Life, the national organization, to guide generations of courageous young men to honor God, lead with integrity, serve others, and experience outdoor adventure. So this is different from, well, now it's Scouting America. So what we often, a lot of us new Boy Scouts, a lot of the people who are in the troop were part of Boy Scouts when they were younger, and it was something that they wanted to pass on to their kids. But as time went on, they felt that the Scouting organization had changed in a way that wasn't really reflecting their values or reflecting exactly the experience they wanted their kids to have. So they looked for an alternative, and that's where a lot of movement came towards trail life. Um, Sports programs, it's different from your youth sports, even different from a church kids ministry or a church youth ministry. So some things that make it unique. First of all, it's boys and dads. It's all boys. So it's pretty much, I guess, as you get older youth sports, there would be boys teams, but at the elementary level, typically programs are co-ed. Kids ministries are co-ed. Now Scouting America is co-ed. It's not just boys. I think there are some troops that are more gender segregated, but some that aren't. And also, one thing that's special about ours is it's boys and dads. And if you're there, and we'll talk through our program, but if you're there at our program, you're going to find that all of our leaders are dads. And even in some trail life troops, and certainly in a lot of other youth programs, most, if not many, if not most of the leaders who are running the program, especially with younger boys, are female. And a lot of times that's because men don't see themselves in that role or haven't been able to make that space in their schedules, whatever the reason. And so one thing that's unique, particularly in our troop, is it's all dads. So you'll see moms involved in the background, and you'll see them doing different things that are essential to help the troop run. But the trail guides, those are basically our small group leaders, the people who are doing the teaching, the people doing the lessons, the people who are leading worship, all these different pieces. These are dads who are doing this. So this is a male-centered environment, and it's going to be unique in that way. There's not a lot of places you're really going to find that, especially for elementary age kids. Faith-centered. It's really core. So most, if not all of our families are here because they want a faith-centered environment. Christianity, it's a Christian organization. It's an evangelical Christian faith statements. You can go on the website, you can read the statement of faith. I would probably describe it as being more conservative theologically. So it believes in, marriage is between a man and a woman, and that Jesus is the only way to heaven, and these sorts of things. So this is core to the program, and all the teaching you're going to hear, the discipleship you're going to see is going to be consistent with that worldview. Interestingly, you don't have to be a Christian to join. So if your family, if that's not part of your tradition, or maybe you're co-parenting, there's a divorced spouse and maybe one's a Christian and one's not, they can actually be involved, but we would limit leadership. Certain leadership positions are going to be limited based on someone's background. So we're not going to have someone leading a devotional who doesn't have a faith background, right? But they might lead a game, or they might help cook burgers, or teach the kids how to, build something. So we try to involve people, even if that's not their background. Our hope is that if that's not, that part of their experience will draw them to Jesus, right? So this is faith-centered outdoor adventure. It's in the name, Trail of Life. So we're outside at our meetings. We do as much as we can outside. Some activities need tables and so forth and things that are inside. Sometimes we have bad weather, but as much as we can, we want the boys to be outside. We hike, we camp, we're out in the elements. That's part of it, right? So if you are not interested, we'll talk about later, who's a good fit. If you don't like camping, if you don't like being outside, you probably won't like trail life. And then long-term brotherhood. This is really important. Even if you find some of these other pieces, having community can be rare, a long-term community. So if you're in a sports program, kids change teams sometimes during the season. If you're in a kids ministry, they might be rotating leaders, and even a youth ministry, you might have a different leader, one year to the next. You may have people kind of popping in and out. It's like a family joins the church, they leave the church. So there's not necessarily that long-term piece. And we want to see relationships forming and growing year after year. So you're building relationships with peers, and with the boys are building relationships with dads. So a lot of us, we go to church, we're part of a community, we want to mentor and disciple our sons, but we want to have other men in their lives who are also speaking into them and echoing those values. And when there's a situation when my son needs to talk about something hard, and maybe he doesn't want to go to dad, maybe there's 4 or 5 other dads at Trail Life who he can talk to, who he trusts, who are going to speak into his life in a way that I would want them to. Also for men, one thing that's common is it can be hard for men to make friends. We're focused on providing for our families, and we have work, and we're driving kids to practice, and all these different responsibilities, trying to be present, hopefully as a husband, and it's easy to let social lives kind of fade away, and you maybe have 1 or 2 friends from high school or college, but being able to reconnect and have meaningful connection can be tough. And so that's something that we see in trail life. I've had a couple instances where, the kid was sick and the dad came to trail life anyway because he wanted to see his friends. So these are pieces that I think are fairly unique to trail life. And if these things are resonating, that you might be in the right place. So the 2 most common questions we get when people, find out about the program is when do you meet, or how often do you meet, and how much does it cost? So we'll make sure we cover those in a lot of detail, because I'm sure if we have that on the website, but I might be able to explain it and answer questions in a way that'll be helpful. So basically, you can look at 2 or 3 categories of activities. So we have regular meetings, and I'll explain these in more detail. We have our weekend trips, and these are quarterly. These are the big things that are our kind of our milestones for the year. Think of our program as kind of being built around those, where we see major momentum and relationship development, where kids are earning multiple achievements towards their badges, their advancements, and there'll be other special events as well. So we try to have one activity outside of our meetings a month during the school year. And 4 of those being either a camp out, we have a retreat as well, a weekend, and the other ones being, maybe a hike. And I'll show you some examples. So that's sort of how you might classify that. Our meetings first and third Thursday. So it's going to be September through May. Basically, the first Thursday in June is our end of the year banquet. It's a big ceremony and exciting celebration for everyone. So first and third Thursdays, 5 to 7. And this year, I believe we'll be at the same place. I've got everything, got to, cross the T's and dot the I's. I believe we'll be at the same place, which is Community Church Rancho. If you're not familiar with that, it's kind of the Alta Loma area. So the 210 and Carnelian is roughly where that is, just below the freeway. Beautiful campus. You can look online if you want. Beautiful campus, big field for the kids to play, big parking lot. Last Thursday, last meeting, one of the dads brought in go-karts and they made a racetrack, a Grand Prix racetrack around the parking lot. There's lots of space there, lots of classroom space for us. There's a courtyard. Well, sometimes I think last time we set up and they had meals out in the courtyard. Really, really cool stuff. So first and third Thursdays, 5 to 7. We try to get it late enough that dads can get there, although sometimes they'll have to finagle schedules a little bit. Early enough that young kids can get home and get to bed. So if we've got, 5, 6 year olds, I know like my kids, bedtime was 7 o'clock for a while. So trying to kind of find that sweet spot between those times. And it's twice a month. So our regular meetings, and I'll show you some pictures. Free time, we have an opening ceremony. Most of the time, most nights we'll have some worship. Patrol time, we do dinner. So you'll notice the timing is 5 to 7. We have people driving from San Bernardino and some of these far off places. If someone's in leadership, we ask them to get there at 4:30, depending on their role. So they might have to leave their house at 3 to get there. So we're like, when are you going to feed your kid dinner? 2:30. So we wanted to have dinner in there so that it just makes it easier on our families. And it's one less thing you have to think about when you're trying to get out the door to Trail Life. And then we'll do achievements if we, not every time, but usually we'll have some achievements, they earn their branch pins, and then a devotional. So if you can see up here, so when I put it up on my phone, if I turned it sideways on my phone, you could see the screen and my face somewhere. So you might need to move my face around if it's in the way, if you want to see the pictures. So over here on the left, free play. So we've got this big open grassy area. So for about 15 minutes, kids roll in and they just play. Dads and boys, they play together. We have sports equipment. Sometimes they're playing tug of war, all sorts of things. And for a lot of kids, that's their favorite time of the night, is to actually just play with dad, play with peers. We'll do an opening ceremony. So in the middle here, you can see a picture. You can see part of our group in the picture. So people come in. I've got my Trail Life uniform on right now. People come in their Trail Life uniforms. There's a ceremony. There's a flag salute. We present the colors, right? We have a color guard. So there's a patriotic tone to it as well. That's definitely part of the culture and ethos is patriotism. So you'll see these elements. There's a Trail Life oath, and that gets everyone oriented for the evening. And then we do worship. So a lot of troops don't do this, but it's part of our troop culture. And oftentimes in the beginning into the meetings, we may do one song. So right now, the gentleman you'll see in the picture, this is Logan. He's one of the dads. He has two boys in the group. He's a worship leader at his church, and so he'll lead us in a song. And what's cool about this is the dads are modeling. With worship, sometimes boys will think, oh, this is a feminine thing, or this isn't something that's cool. This isn't something we really do as guys, and they'll disengage. You'll see this a lot in kids' ministries. A lot of times the boys, especially older boys, don't participate. But in this case, you look around and in the whole room is bordered by dads who are engaging, who are singing, who have their hands lifted. And so the boys see, oh, this is something we do. Oh, this isn't something that's weird or awkward or embarrassing. This is a way that we worship God together, that we express our faith, something that binds us together as a group. We have a couple songs that we rotate. There's Raise the Hallelujah is one of our favorites. And when it says, you're going to hear my praises roar, they go, roar, right? They just love it, right? So we have this as part of our tradition. Then we have our patrol time. So the kids break up by age group. Right now, we may shift this slightly next year, but right now it's kindergarten, first grade, second and third, and then basically fourth, fifth, sixth. And so they go around different rotations. We kind of got the model from kind of a VBS style, but they go to different rotations, and two of them we call Trail Lab and Field Ops. So Trail Lab is when they're in usually indoors, not always, but usually indoors, and they're learning something in kind of a classroom setting. So here they're doing hydroponics. Excuse me. Um, we've had them learn health and fitness skills. We had a heritage night where we had veterans come in and share their medals. They saw a Purple Heart. They saw uniforms. They got to try them on. So there's this piece, and then we'll have field ops, which is usually outside where they're doing something where they're learning and it's really active. So maybe they're building a teepee using their knot tying skills. We had a judo sensei come in and teach the kids judo moves and practice together. We had go-karts at our last meeting where the older boys were driving around in go-karts. They used power tools to take off the wheels and put the wheels back on and then drive them around. So we've got all kinds of stuff going on. So they rotate through these, and then one of the rotations is dinner. And we call the time COT, or Circle of Trust. And the idea isn't just that we're feeding the kids to make it convenient for parents, although we are trying to make it convenient for parents. Everyone that's there is a parent. And so it's nice not having to, and I gotta feed my kid and get out the door, right? But more importantly, honestly, is that community time, the fellowship time. So all the kids are divided into patrols of it varies, but maybe five or six boys and maybe two or three dads. It depends on the group, how old they are. But you can see in the picture, hopefully, they sit around a table or sit on the ground with their meal and they talk. And how was your week? What were highlights from your week? What can we pray about? And they can actually get a chance to pray for each other. And even at 5 years old, develop the rhythm of this is what we do as men, as disciples, as followers of Christ. We talk to each other, we bring each other's burdens to Jesus, we lift each other up, we encourage each other, we care for each other. This is just part of what it means to be a man and part of what it means to be a disciple. So it's a really special time. We've had moms come in and bring food and facilitate this, and I've had moms almost in tears saying I was overwhelmed just watching what was happening in the room where these dads are sitting down with the boys and at every age, whether they're in junior high or kindergarten, and doing these things together. We come back together. We have achievements. So throughout the time, they are earning advancements. So the younger kids have these branch pins. So for each age level, there's foxes and hawks and mountain lions, and so they complete certain activities and requirements, and they get a pin, and then they work up to their next patch. At the older level, our sixth grade and up, roughly, it'll probably be fifth grade and up next year. They're the navigator group patrol, and then they earn badges, maybe in a way that the Boy Scouts would have. So they have to go through all these requirements, and then they would be able to work towards that achievement. And they're more involved. They require more mastery and more investment. At the younger ages, it's about exposure, giving them a positive exposure to these different things. Like I think this week I think this Thursday is life skills. And so one of the dads is going to help them with home maintenance, how to just simply, for a 5-year-old, it's how to use a screwdriver, righty tighty, lefty loosey. And we have a dad who has a background in finance. So he's going to do a child appropriate version of home finance. And what does it mean to save and invest and tithe? And he's bringing in manipulatives for that. Um, and then our older kids, they're going to be building computers. So a couple of our guys work in the tech industry, and they're going to bring in 12 computers, and they're going to take them apart and put them back together and learn what the different pieces do. So as they're doing these things, they are working towards these achievements, and it's exciting for the kids to see a visual representation of what they've learned and what they're doing, and to be able to show off. Look what I earned. Look what I did. Look, I have 4 branch pins. Look, Mr. Robert. It's so exciting to see that. To see that growth in them. They sometimes that encourages them to face challenges. at the retreat, there was a zip line, and we were teaching them about courage, and that was one of the branches is about values. One of the values was courage, and so we're teaching them about courage. And then afterwards, they went to go on the zip line, and a lot of them were scared, and they got to apply. Okay, here's what I learned about courage. I'm going to practice the value of courage and go on the zip line, even though it's scared. I'm scared. The kid in the middle right here with the red hair, I think he went on the zip line about 8 times. He was terrified at first, and then he did it, and he just spent the whole afternoon going on the zip line again and again and again, practicing courage. And then we'll end the night with about a 2 minute, it depends, we call it a mentoring moment. It's basically a real short devotional. Oh, here he is. Anthony's our chaplain. He just popped in here. So, Anthony, if you want to wave, he's over here. If you can see him, you might not be able to see him if you're on a small device, but if you're on the big computer, you might be able to see him here. But Anthony's, you want to say hi, Anthony, real quick?
Yes, and can you guys hear me?
You should be able to.
Did you? Okay, perfect. Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Anthony. I'm the chaplain for our Troop 8859, Trail Life. Just like Robert was mentioning, we do have a mentee or mentor devotional moment. We basically try to, every month we have a theme that we go over. We talk about real life situation and scriptures so we can grow young men in the Word of God and help them grow and develop as men. And that's what Trail Life is all about, growing young boys with a Christ-centered perspective.
Thanks, Anthony. Yeah, absolutely. Going back to the idea, this is a faith-centered program, right? So it's okay if you don't come from a faith background, but understand this is a faith-centered environment. So your boys are going to be hearing about Jesus, and we're going to be worshiping, and we're going to be praying. And so we would just ask that even if the family doesn't share that the belief system, that you would be supportive and kind of basically go along with it. We've had dads come. There's at least one dad in the program who's not a Christian, but he's respectful and he actually participates. And I think he's kind of gotten more interested in maybe being part of a faith community. So that's a real positive thing. Thanks, Anthony. Let's see here. Let me click on my yeah. So that was our regular meetings. That's kind of a flyover. I could take the whole rest of the time just talking about the meetings, but that gives you an idea of what we do there. And then afterwards, a lot of people will hang out and play. The kids, I mean, we'll have kids there until we're cleaning up and wrapping up. Sometimes we debrief until 9 o'clock. So it's not unusual to have people there for 2 more hours hanging out and what things like that. So you're not required to. You can go home if you want to go to bed and you're tired. A lot of people have long days. Weekend trips. So we have 4 big weekend trips during the year. These are sort of the anchors that our program goes around. So an analogy I've used sometimes is if you're in sports, the meetings might be like practice, and think of these like the tournaments, right? So these are really important pieces that is where you're going to see. We meet twice a month, right? So it's a double-edged sword. Part of the reasoning is okay, we can prioritize it. It's not overwhelming. But even if we're there every time, we're only seeing each other twice a month, right? And so you have to leave right away. You can't hang out afterwards, right? That's only so much time. But when you're at camp, you get hours together for the kids to play. We have unstructured time where they can play and get to know each other better and go through adventures together. They face the zip line, whatever it is. It's cold out, and we're all gonna be cold together and have this bonding experience that you really can't do. As lovely as the church is, and as wonderful as those 2 hours are, it can't do what a camp out can do. So these are the dates for our a couple are tentative, but these are the planned dates for the next year. Our kickoff will be in August, so that'll be our summer camp out. We'll start our program year. So if you join, you'll be invited to that. Now, I know some people have summer plans, so you won't be ostracized if like we're going to still be in Europe or something. That's okay. But you'll be invited to that, and that'll be a great place to start strong. So by the time you come to your first meeting, you already have friends, which is a wonderful way to begin. So that's late August. Fall will probably be October 9th through 11th, most likely. And this is for sure. This is our winter retreat. So this is our big highlight of the year. Winter retreat is January 8th through 10th. That's already booked. We have to book that a year in advance. And spring camp out is tentatively scheduled for April 9th to 11th. This is 2027. So we have this camp out coming in a couple of weeks, and then this is for next year. So if you join, these would be your dates. We try to be as consistent as we can with dates and not change them. Um, my son plays club water polo, and so they like to surprise us with schedule changes. I don't know if you've experienced that in your sports programs. Oh, actually, the tournament's this weekend. No, actually, it's at 8 o'clock. No, just kidding. It's at 1 o'clock. The day of. So we try to be really consistent as much as possible. We'll give you the dates for the year. You can put them in the calendar, prioritize them. And so I'll mention this again later. So what we do is we give my son's coach the schedule. These are the weekends we'll be gone, and these are the practices we won't be at, and then they know. And so the rest of the time we're committed and we take it seriously, whatever it is we're doing. And the coach sees that, okay, they're not being flaky, they're taking this seriously, and then they're setting this boundary. So these are the big weekend trips. This was pictures from our fall camp out this past October. It was a lot of fun. We were up in the mountains. We'll probably go back to the mountains again. So the older kids cooked the food. So they made pancakes and bacon and scrambled eggs on the griddle. Here they are making burgers, just having a hilarious time. We had younger kids doing some woodworking projects. You can see there. Chris, who I'm not sure he was going to try to pop it. I know he's driving. He may not be able to. He's a former Eagle Scout, so he knows the most about scouting stuff of any of us. So at our camp out, he was showing them here's how to sharpen a knife, and here's how to build a fire, and here's how to tie these knots and all these different things. So in this case, in this situation, he's showing that's little Levi here how to properly use a saw. So he'd do like this, and here's the angle. We went hiking, so you can see David, that's our treasurer, with his youngest right there on the right during our hiking trip. So it's time with father son, but it's also time in community. And so a lot of times what we'll see is part of the time dads are hanging out and the boys are playing. Part of the time we're all together. Part of the time maybe it's in smaller patrols doing a devotional. Part of the time maybe it's a dad and a son just hanging out for a little bit, going for a walk or building something or whatever it is, hiking, whatever it is they're doing. So that was our camp out. The winter retreat, this is super exciting. So this is at Palomar Christian Conference Center, a really nice conference center. They've got the zip line. You can see our young man here doing the zip line archery. So there's Mike, one of our leaders, showing his son how to string a or how to put the arrow in the bow during that activity. They have gun range. They got BB guns, 22s. They have a shotgun range that some of the dads were using. So it's one of the only, I think it's the only retreat center I know of that has a gun range. So that was a huge hit. Don't worry, they're safe. They do it safely, but they get to experience that, which is a lot of fun. We have patrol time where there's devotionals, there's checking in, lots of fire, marshmallows, of course. It's just a really, really special experience. So I had multiple parents tell me that afterwards their son said, that was the best time of my life. The best time of my life was at the retreat. So this is you can't miss it. I mean, you're like allowed to, but I really wouldn't want that for you. I'd want you to experience it. Our spring camp out. So we're actually doing our this year in a couple weeks is at Joshua Tree Campground, Indian Cove Campground at Joshua Tree. So you can see a picture here of what that looks like. Stunningly gorgeous. The rocks you can climb. We're not doing formal rock climbing with the ropes and stuff, but you can boulder on those. There's hiking trails. It's like a boy paradise. It's so much fun. So we'll be doing that, and then most likely we'll have that again next year. So you'll miss out on this one, but you can go to the next one next year if you decide to join us. And then we just recently confirmed Fiesta Island Youth Camp for summer. So I've never been there before. One of our leaders, Chase, was able to work this out with I think the county oversees it. It's a Boy Scout area, but because our organization is sort of like it, we were able to work out an arrangement with them. So we'll get to go out and camp on the beach and experience that in the summer. So if you want to join us, you get to do that, and we'd love to have you. And by you, I see a lot of moms. To clarify, it's boys and dads. So our campouts, they actually, Trail Life doesn't do family camp. People ask, when do you do family camp? You can do family camp if you want to camp out with other families. That's a great idea. But official campouts are boys and dads. Special events outside of that, we try to do once a month something. So if there's a camp out in the month, we don't do another thing unless there's some other reason too. But some things we did this year was a hike at Etiwanda Falls. You might recognize that. We did some service projects. We were able to pack meals for a homeless shelter. Another group went and worked at a thrift store, or they were organizing things for donations. I'm trying to remember. Actually, it was in the other groups. I don't remember what the details were, but it was another outreach. We put flags in at the Field of Valor in West Covina for Veterans Day. And so they were there were actually other trail life troops there as well from the different parts of California, and they got to engage in this patriotic active service. And we went to see a basketball game at CBU. So you might have noticed the Zoom link is Cal Baptist. So I'm a Cal Baptist professor. So I use Cal Baptist technology and resources as much as I can for the troop. So we were able to get discount tickets, and we all went out and got a giant section and got to watch a basketball game. And it was really close. We went at the very last second, and it was super exciting. People had a great time. So things like this would be other events we'd fill in with, and that we're able to experience as well. I'm looking over the chat. I don't see any questions so far. So if you have questions and you want to pop it in there, I'll try to look over and answer it. Also, at the end, I can stay on and answer questions too. But so feel free to do that still if you'd like to. Why are we doing this? What are the benefits? Sounds sort of commercial, but why do this, right? What's the point of this? So spiritual growth, personal growth, brotherhood. I'll walk through this a little bit. So the idea is that we're modeling godly manhood. We want the boys to learn how to be godly men from godly men. And boys need moms, boys need dads, boys need mentors, they need teachers, they need role models. And part of that group, we believe, is having their dads and other dads. And some boys' dads aren't able to participate. It could be, in some cases, dad's just not in the picture. Sometimes it's a work thing. They want their boy there, but they can't go to very much. That's okay. We'll take care of them. Um, Either way, but we believe that they need to see this modeled, and they can see this is what it means to be a godly man. This is what Christian men do. So whether that's worshiping, praying, studying God's word, living out their faith, what is it? As a Christian, how do we face the zip line differently from someone in the world who doesn't have Christ, right? Whatever that is. So we'll see. I've heard from a lot of boys that this part of it is, I think, my son, it was interesting how he worded it. I wish I had the exact quote, but basically the idea was it normalized things for him. Oh, this isn't a weird, quirky thing that we do at chapel or something we do at church, but the boys don't really get into. This is something that's normal and good and that I want to participate in. For dads as well, we have us. The leaders in this group are incredible. I can't say enough about how incredible the dads are in this group. If you're a dad listening, and you're not, we would love to have you, right? The brotherhood, that's a later slide. I'm getting ahead of myself. But spiritual growth can come from that as well for dad. We have a dad who is a new Christian, pretty new, and he was his son was the right age for to be in a leadership position for a trail guide for a small group, and he was interested in doing that. So, well, you're new to the faith, so we kind of talked through that, and he found that this is a way that inspired him to grow in his faith because, okay, now I'm leading in a faith context, and so it helped him grow. And watching his spiritual growth as the dad has been really incredible over the year. He's done incredible work. I think I want to say he's one of our best leaders, but there's so many great leaders. But every time I see him, I'm like, wow, look at that guy. Personal growth, so building confidence. Skills. So part of it is just real world skills. I think we're gonna, how do you use a power tool, and how do you, right? Like, how do you put a computer together, and how do you use a screwdriver, and how do you change a tire, and some of these real world type things are helpful and important. So that's part of that aspect. Learning responsibility. Here's a situation. You need to follow the safety guidelines, or else somebody could get hurt, right? That's responsibility. Leadership. Sometimes we'll have the older kids lead the younger kids in something. Making, right, at the camp, they made all the food. Okay, you guys are responsible for the food. If you mess this up, we won't eat, right? You got to pay attention. You got to take it seriously. So they're showing responsibility, leadership, courage, challenge. So here at the retreat, we had this challenge course where they had to do these different obstacles and work together. And there was this big sort of like balance beam thing they had to get all the kids on without falling off, work together. So they're growing as people, as young men, spiritually, yes, but in other ways as well. The brotherhood, man, this I love the badges, right? It's really cool. I love that they're learning skills. I love that my son is learning how to be safe around firearms. I love that um that he's learning, yes, that worship is appropriate and good and normal. One of the things though is, man, having this community, this community of young men, of dads, is so powerful. You can't buy it, right? You can't find this. I mean, some people are lucky enough to have this, and I'd say, great, increase your network, increase your foundation of community and people who are speaking into your kids' lives. For a lot of folks, this is just hard to find. For a lot of dads, right? It's like, where am I going to find and be able to spend time with and play with and hang out with, be encouraged by other dads who are trying to do. Sorry, I'm making a little bit of water here. CBU cup. uh, to get to be around other dads who are trying to do what they're trying to do, right? I want to raise my boys in the right way. I want to disciple my boys, but I honestly don't know how to do that. I'm not sure I'm even discipling, I'm a disciple correctly, right? They're having these fears or insecurities. How do I make friends? Is it going to be weird? But having a place where you can fit in with other dads who are all just going in the same direction is so powerful. And it's meant to be lasting. My hope is that this community will grow years and years and year after year, and we'll be able to watch the 5-year-olds grow up and hit puberty and get tall and look, remember when you were 5 and this and this. I'd love to see that unfold as well. I think that's huge. Let me see here. Oh, I have a great question. Hillary wants to know if my son turns 5 in May, can I register him as well? He'll be going into kinder next year, but it's currently 4. Yes. So I believe it says somewhere it says it, whether it's in the presentation or one of the emails, but yes. So it needs to be 5 by the time our school year starts. So September 1st, I believe. So if he's turning 5 in May, the only thing it applies to very few people. When you do the national registration, it won't let you put them in the system until they're 5, even if you're enrolling them for the future year. So if that comes up for you, let me know when the time comes and we'll figure it out. But yes, exactly. So kindergarten next year, you have to be in kindergarten and 5 in September or older, right? Kindergarten or age 5 or older coming that time. That's a great question. You're welcome. Thank you for asking that. So this piece is huge. All right. What else? Oh, the cost. Everybody wants to know, how much does this cost? It is an investment, right? Our goal is not to make it as cheap as possible. We want it to be accessible, and sometimes that means a financial aid situation, things like that. But the idea is not to make it cheap, because this is not, I don't want you to think of this as cheap. This is an investment. I think for most people, the time is the bigger investment. But financially, there's an investment as well. So I'll walk you through it. I don't want to scare you. It's not overwhelming, but there is a cost involved. So the first piece at the local level is our troop dues. So we collect this. We have a PayPal account for our troop, and this is how we cover all basically the meetings, the expenses for the meetings. Our charter fee, so Trail Life, it's almost like a franchise, and you pay a franchise fee. It's a little bit like that. We have to pay them a fee. It's $20 for every boy that's in the troop. We have to pay $20 for them. It's a few $100 to renew our charter with them. So that's part of it. The meeting costs. We don't have our own facility. We rent. So CCR, they give us a really good price. They showed us, here's the pricing we'd charge anyone else. I'm like, oh. And like, well, would you take this much? And they're like, we love you guys, sure. So we're really blessed by that. But we are paying them. But we are paying. I did that question. I'll pop back over. It's a great question, Brooke. But we are paying rent, supplies, right? So I think our finance guy who's going to be teaching on Thursday said, can I get some manipulative, some, pretend money and things that I can use to teach them how economics works, or whatever that looks like for a 5-year-old. We've had to buy, maybe it's leather for leather working, or all sorts of things. So there's supplies. The dinner, we're giving dinner to everybody. So that costs some money too. The badges are kind of expensive. So you get the little pins and the badge, and you advance up, get the new patch. So we're paying for those. And everyone gets a troop t-shirt. So that's part of that as well. So we wear this to the meetings, these formal uniforms, and usually, not to everything, but usually our outings, a hike or a camp out, they wear their troop t-shirt, or maybe a t-shirt we give them that is for that event, like a retreat shirt. So that's what it's. I didn't see how much it was. Well, you can see the screen. So it's $250 a year, and that's per boy. That's per son. People ask, is there like a family discount? Like, not really, because it still costs like the it still costs the same. You're using the spot. I don't say taking using the spot. So the cost to us is the same. So we can't just say it's this much per family, because if you have more kids, it just costs more. Kids cost much. Kids cost money. But we can break that up into payments. So it's $25 a month if you want to do that as well. And it's the same price. So when you sign up, you'd pay the first $25 when you enroll, and then $25 for the next 9 months, and then you're good. Dads are just 25 bucks for the year. So we want to encourage dads to be involved. So you also get a shirt, which is about $15. So basically, you're paying $1 a month. So that's pretty. I think that's a pretty good deal to have this experience with your son. $1 a month. Hopefully, that's worth it. But we also asked them to do a live scan. And there is a, you know what? Oh, there's the national deal. We'll get to a second. We also asked you to do a live scan under California law. So it's complicated. So at the Trail Life National requires a background check of their own. That'll be on the next slide. But at the state level, they require that we have a fingerprint live scan, and that's about 60 bucks. So part of the reason it's a little less money for the dads is you're also gonna be paying for this. That's for safety. If you're there, once in a while, hey, I'm gonna come watch one night, or I'm dropping my kid off. Normally I'm working. Can I stay in the back and watch? Yeah, as long as we know who you are, and but basically you're over there like one time, and that's kind of it. But if you're going to regularly be participating, interacting with the kids, and be around the community, it's live scan. You've got to do that. We're just really particular. I won't go into all the safety stuff right now unless you want me to, but we're really particular about safety. We just don't want, well, you know why. We're really particular about safety. What a Brooke asked, this sounds amazing. Thank you. My husband does not have much experience camping, but he's willing to learn. Would his lack of experience hinder him in the group? No, we actually have had several families who have never camped before. Now we have ones that are veterans. They camp all the time. We have a family that's camping this weekend, and they're going to come camping again. Like they're doing camping 2 weekends in a row. Um, so that's there's the range, but we can say, here's what you need to buy, here's some advice, here's some guidance. We're coordinating, like you have your group. Sometimes we're coordinating with everybody. Sometimes at the patrol level, that people are helping with food. It's not going to be okay. There's some sticks in the woods. Good luck, cooking food. Person who's never camped before. No, we'll help. So you'll learn as your kids learn. You can learn together. So absolutely not a problem. But do communicate. We don't want someone to come out woefully unprepared. And sometimes we'll send information and people don't always read it. So if you really don't know what you're doing, make sure to go to the informational meetings and read everything so you don't miss something super important. And in most places we go, there's a store somewhere. If you're like, oh, I missed this really important item, so I'll drive to the Big Five and buy it and drive back. Not the end of the world. So anyway, no, that's okay. Someone asked, Bethany says, do we do this every year, or is live scan good for multiple years? Let me confirm that with the school. I believe it's good for 2 years, I believe, but I'm not going to promise you that right now. I think it's good for 2 years, as far as that goes. Great question. So again, feel free to keep asking. So that's the local. So that's the money. Well, the live scan doesn't go to us. I just want to put that in there because we require that separately from everything else. That goes to keep things running on our side. National registration. So separate from us is Trail Life USA. They also charge boys and dads about 40 something bucks. That covers the insurance. That covers child safety training. So they're called registered adults is what they call them. So anyone who's going to be involved, you're going through us, you're going through live scan from the school's live scan process, and you're doing national registration, which means you're doing another background check with them. You don't have to fingerprint. That's just through the paperwork. And they will go through a child abuse prevention training. So it's child abuse prevention is what that is. And there's over it. That's how Trail Life USA keeps doing their stuff. So they got to get their piece of the pie as well. So that's national. And then we have uniform and supplies. So the basic is your Trail Life uniform shirt. They're about 50 bucks. Buy them large and use it more than 1 year, right? So they're well made. They last for a while. Usually one came and there was a problem with it, so get it fixed. But usually they last for a long time. So get one a larger size for your kid. So when they grow, they can still use it. Side note, the adult sizes are ridiculously oversized. So all the dads ordered theirs and they were drowning in them. So I normally wear a large and this is a medium slim. So I do not normally wear a medium slim. So they're a good size off. That's for the adults. For the kids, they're about right. So that's about $50. There's shoulder loops that go on there. This is the for leaders, but there's ones that match up to their patrol. I think those are $10. The hat you can see in the photograph for the kids, I guess 20 bucks. Black cargo pants or cargo shorts. Don't buy them from the website. You don't get those from us. You get those on your own. So cargo style black shorts or pants with the shirt tucked in. So that's our uniform. If you can put a belt on it, that's nice. I've just found for a lot of kids' clothes, they don't have belt loops. Like my son's, the cargo pants that fit him really well that he loves don't have belt loops. I'm like, that's fine. Just tuck them in. You look nice. You're in uniform. You're good. And there's a handbook as well. I think that's about $17 for that. So it's about $100 for the supplies. And most of this are things that you can use year over year and not have to replace every single time. Event costs. So the dues is going to cover our evening events, our Thursdays, but we also have to pay for the camps. Stuff costs money. It is what it is. I said my kid does youth sports. He does club water polo. I won't even tell you how much this stuff costs. If your kids do sports, you know. It's a lot of money. Or if you do like our church does, the kids, I think summer camp for the youth is like $450 is summer camp. I think the weekend events for the kids is something like $350. It's crazy expensive. So ours, a camp out for the weekend. So that's our the Joshua Tree or up in the mountains or the beach. Probably sometimes we have to tweak it. Should be about $75 a person. We were able to cap that at I think 225 for a family. So if you had more kids, if you have a second or third kid, then that caps the price a little bit. So, but most of it's one father, one son, $150 for the weekend. That includes food. The winter retreat, I think we're doing some fundraising. I think we'll be able to do for 200 a person. Last year was 250. We'll try to get as close as we can to that 200 mark. So don't hold me to it, but and for that as well, that's the most expensive one. We'll be able to do a payment plan for that as well. So if you sign up when you enroll, so there's application enrollment. When you sign up when you enroll, we'll be able to take a deposit and let you just pay that monthly. So by the time you get to January, it's paid off. This past year, we kind of messed up, and people have paid deposits, and hey, you need to pay the balance of your retreat, and it's right before Christmas, and everyone's like, no. So we won't let that happen again. So there's a cost for this stuff. Things cost money, you know. What else? Is my family a good fit? So a few things I'll point out, and this is not everything there is to consider. The biggest thing is the time. You need to prioritize the time. We keep it finite. It's twice a month. So it's the first and third Thursday for 2 hours. It's great if you come early and hang out. Usually the issue is, once you've given the night, you've given the night. You're not usually going to another thing, but I guess someone could. It's really important to be there. If you miss one meeting, now you're not seeing your people for a month. You miss two meetings, it's 6 weeks. That's so long. You lose the momentum. The relationships start to fade. You're not getting that foundation. They're not earning their achievements. They're kind of losing the excitement of, oh, I've almost earned this thing. They're missing out on the activities themselves, the retreats, the weekend activities. These are a really important part of the experience. If and things happen. One of our leaders is not going to be at the camping trip because he's a pastor at another church and he's leading a men's retreat, which was booked before we were booked, and he's like torn up over like, oh man, there was some way, right? We're not going to kick him out. You terrible person, how could you miss this, right? But we make it a priority, and if it's at all possible, we go, right? If my sister's getting married soon, and if she gets married during a camp, I'm going to go to my sister's wedding, right? Even though I made up the whole troop, I'm going to go to the wedding, right? So things happen. It's not legalistic, but if it's not really a priority, it's not a good fit. With sports, everyone does sports, and sports are all the time. My kid has 4 practices a week. Depending on the week, he has like 16 to 18 practices a month. We miss 2 for Trail Life. And I tell the coach the first and third Thursday, we're at Trail Life. We explained what it was. We won't be at practice. And she's fine with it because every other time we're at practice, we're taking it seriously. He's working hard. We show up early, we stay late. There's no issue there because she knows we're not being flaky. She knows we're balancing commitments and that we have a good reason for that. So if you're thinking, oh, we'll do this until spring, and then when, baseball starts, then we'll do that. Like this isn't a good fit. It's first and third Thursdays are Trail Life. And so we'll miss, don't roll in late. If practice goes until 6, leave early and get here by 5. If that's an issue, it's just not a good fit. You're not going to get much out of it. We're going to lose the momentum with the group. It takes away from other people. So that's probably the biggest thing. If you're looking for casual or low commitment or just something, hey, let's get our kid involved in something this year. What would be fun? I mean, it is fun, but make sure it means more to you than just something that'd be fun. Or else again, it's not going to be a good fit. Outdoor adventure, right? If you don't like camping or you don't want to like camping or you don't like being outside and you're not willing to embrace the challenge and potential physical discomfort of outdoor activities, it's not a good fit. So if you're thinking, oh, do I have to go on the camping trips? No, but that's kind of the point, right? So if you just know I don't like archery and I don't like dirt and I don't like tents and I don't like guns and I don't like fishing, I don't like hiking, I don't like the mountains, I don't like the sand. Yeah, you might not really like trail life very much. So, and then that leads into embracing challenge, Carlos laugh, right? Embracing challenge and discomfort. The idea is not to make things as easy and comfortable as possible. There's gonna be discomfort. Our fall camp, it was beautiful weather during the day. It got cold at night. People got cold. It was part of it. We're going to the desert in a week. I don't know if what's going to happen with this heat, this heat. It might be really hot. So it could be hot, it could be cold, it could rain, it could be windy. It might, our plan, one night the power was off at the church randomly. Like, okay, let's adapt. So we just embrace that challenge. We embrace some of that discomfort. We push through it. It's part of that experience of bonding and growing. So there's some risk, right? We're not taking crazy risks. Like, first of all, we background check people. That's a risk that we're not willing to take at all, as far as that goes. But at the desert, the kids are going to climb on rocks, right? Big, tall rocks. They're going to climb on them. Somebody could slip. Somebody could get scraped. It could happen. I've had one serious injury. I've taken kids there camping for decades. I had one serious injury, and the kid was just super duper doing the exact opposite of what we told him as a junior high kid. He got hurt, but like out of years and years and years and years, we've had scrapes and bug bites and things like that. But it could happen, right? So you have to be comfortable with the idea that somebody could get hurt, right? We sometimes work with dangerous tools. There's a shooting range. No, so we go through all the safety pieces, but there is just inherent risk in some of the things we do. But that's part of trail life. Not recklessness by any means, but some of these adventures do have some inherent risk to them. Hiking, right? You go up hiking, anytime you're out in nature, we can't control everything. We taught the kids how to scare off a mountain lion, but that's part of it. How do we join? Okay, so if this is sounding good to you and you're interested in joining, I hope some of you're still you're in the Zoom still, so hopefully you're interested. So we've added an application process. So basically, what this means is before you formally enroll, we want to take a second to just connect with you, to walk through the expectations and what you're getting yourself into, just to make sure there's clarity. If you have questions, if we have questions, we just want to make sure it's a good fit. We don't want someone to roll in and feel very disappointed or frustrated because they didn't think we were going to go camping, right? or something like that. So there's a link that's in all of the it's going to be troop8859.org/apply, I believe. It's on all the emails that you've been getting. You must have gotten that because you saw the link to this. So this is going to open up tomorrow at 8 a.m. Go click on that. There's, what's your kids, what grade are they in, or what grades are they in if you have more than one. And it's like, okay, do you understand this is a Christian thing, right? This is a ministry. This is a Christian thing. It's all about Jesus at the core of it. If you don't want it to be all about Jesus, I don't know, try Scouting USA. I don't think it's all about Jesus, probably, but this is, and so forth, right? So you'll go in, click those things, tell us why you want to join, right? Something's resonating. Just tell us about that. There's a $10 application fee, and then we're going to follow up with you. So somebody from the troop, one of the dads will text or email, hey, let's get on a phone conversation. It's not to, interrogate you. It's just to have a conversation. What brings you to the troop? What is family involvement going to look like? Maybe, again, we have kids, dad's not in the picture. And so mom brings son and drops him off. We have a kid that he comes to camp. He comes to camp by himself. He's a little trooper. And we have a way to do that safely. We have someone who's watching out for him. We have a youth tent so that, we have all those safety standards in place. And so maybe that's the case. Maybe dad is interested in leadership. We're always looking for leaders. We'll need new leaders too as we grow. So we want to know about that. What's the faith background? Talk about commitment, outdoor experience. So if it's, I've never been camping and it terrifies me, but I'm ready to be terrified with you. Or I was an Eagle Scout and I camp every weekend. Good to know. Right. So we want to have that conversation. If everything looks good, and I think there'll be a consensus, right? If everyone feels like, yeah, this is a really good fit, then we'll give you a link to an enrollment packet. So this is just like signing your kid up for anything else, school, sports. I sign up my kid for, each season of water polo. It's the same stuff. So info, phone number, liability release. And we have it set up for the kid, and then for the dad, if the dad's going to be involved. And sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. That's there. And then we'll have a section for the winter retreat. We want to make that accessible. Like that's something you really, really want to do, if at all possible. So we'll have a place to sign up for that. And we're going to try to offer some special pricing if you do that on the front end, have some payment plan options. Some people just want to pay everything up front. You can do that too and just be done with it. Whatever works for your situation. Once you're in our system, we've got you processed. There's the national registration through Trail Life Connect. We have to send you a special link. We typically wait a little later to do this because it's an annual fee to them, and then they'll want you to renew on the anniversary of when you signed up. So we try to do that in the summer so that you're not stuck having to renew in the middle of the year, and it's one more thing to worry about while you're trying to finish up the year. So there's that as well. So that's an annual registration for the kids, and then for the adult, it's called being a registered adult, and that involves the background check and the training and so forth. Ooh, okay. So look at me. We got through it right about an hour. So let me pause and take questions. So if you want to use the chat, I'll take a look at those right now. So is there room for all age groups right now? Yes. Now we're taking up to 8th grade. So we're not taking high schoolers. We're just not equipped to serve them well. This year, junior high was a little bit of a stretch for us. We had planned to just do elementary. It's called Woodlands Trail is the elementary program. We had a lot of 6th graders who really wanted to join. So we stretched it a little bit and added our navigators. For a while, we felt like we weren't able to challenge them enough. So we've been making changes to the program, and they're loving it to challenge them more. But we aren't going to be ready to really challenge high schoolers yet, but kindergarten through 8th grade. Yes, but it's first come, first serve. And last time, especially the younger spots, they were gone in a day, and we had to do a wait list. So kindergarten, first grade, some of these people love to get their kids started soon. I think it was a couple hours and those spots were gone last year. And now we already have people in the troop, right? So, who are bringing younger kids or just returning. So I would do it really quickly. But yeah, we can take all the way through 8th grade at this point. So 8th grade as of next year, not 8th grade this year. If my husband can't always make it, can the boys' grandpa? Yes. Hillary, that's a wonderful question. If grandpa is dropping them off or just occasionally there, then just make us aware. If grandpa's going to be involved, which would be wonderful, then he would become a registered adult. So he would do the background check. He would register on Trail Life Connect. He'd have the insurance for him. We would have documentation on our side. He'd get a t-shirt. Anyone who's around, we want to have a uniform or a t-shirt so we know who they are. We know that they're supposed to be there. After a little while, we get to know everyone, but we want everyone to know that person's supposed to be here. So yeah, grandpa, if he's a registered adult, maybe he comes, maybe they both come, maybe he comes camping. It could be a wonderful, I don't know the situation in detail. But yeah, grandpa, and we have drop-offs. If the child is mature enough to be there by themselves at a meeting, then that's even if they're younger, they can be there if they can behave basically and function and listen, then that's fine. It's certainly on an occasional basis. For overnighters, we want them to be at least 8, and it's also kind of case by case. Some 8-year-olds are fine. Other 8-year-olds would not be okay on their own. So just talk to us. By the time they're 10, 11, yeah, they can come on their own. Although I mean, again, as long as they're mature enough and ready for that. Great questions. Other questions? Sorry if you already, no, no worries. Sorry if you already said this, the link. Yes. So, it's the website /apply. So when I sent the emails, let me put that in the chat also. You'll even have it handy right there. So 8859.org/apply. So if you go to this right now, it'll go to a filler page that has a countdown, applications opening soon. What should happen at 8 o'clock tomorrow is that'll reroute to a page where you can, it's set up like a product, but that's basically how that works. So you'd go in and answer the questions and pay the $10 and get you in the system. Did you happen to share the dates? I did. I could go back to that real quick. I know people had to pop in a little later. So our dates, let me go back over here, are right here. So summer camp. So the summer is the first one. If you join, we're going to count that as part of next year. So you'll be able to join August 21st to 23rd, camping at the beach. Winter retreats, that's already in stone, January 8th to 10th. The other two are very likely fall camp out almost for sure, October 9 to 11, spring, probably 9 to 11, possibly the next weekend. But that's what we're looking at right now as far as that goes. But the timeline looks when you can reserve changes based on the site. Great question. Would it be all day Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for work purposes? Is that you're talking about the camp? I'm thinking. So for the camps, yes. So usually the check-in time, it depends on the activity. The winter retreat, I think check-in time is 4. I think dinner starts at 5 maybe. The other ones, I think the earliest you can get there is noon, but you can come in later. That's common. A lot of people have work situations and they're coming in a little bit later. Most people are putting in PTO and they're taking time off if they need to. Usually Sunday we wrap up. It depends on the activity. The camps, usually it's pretty early. People will pack up. Some people hang out later. Some people pack up 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning and head out. The retreat, I think we finished at maybe 10 and we're back home around noon. We have some pastors who are in the troop. So we had a couple of pastors who had to go home and pastor their churches. So they had to leave a little early. For that reason, that one time. So, but yeah, so it's Friday afternoon, evening towards like Sunday morning, but not all day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Great question. Great question. And again, we're not crazy legal, because things happen, right? And so people sometimes people won't be able to make something or have to come late or leave early. But the idea is it's a priority. I'm prioritizing this. I'm going to do everything I can to make it happen. If my sister gets married and I have to fly to Florida when the camp is, I can't help that. But I can help when I schedule my own vacation. I can help, okay, you know, I have to make the sacrifice here, make this change there. Summer's locked in. Yeah, someone was asking if summer's locked in. Yeah, that was one we had to. It took a lot. One of our guys, Chase, he went to a lot of work to pull that off. There were, I won't go into the details, but there were a lot of challenges that came up, and so a lot went into that. We were very fortunate and very blessed to get that. The price was ridiculously low for getting a campsite on the beach for the entire troop. So, but yeah, that one's locked in. Uh, Sorry, was in between bedtime and listening. Sure, I totally understand. Just clarifying the troop meets first and third Thursday. So September through May. Last time we didn't do the second Thursday in December because people were getting bogged down in Christmas stuff. We'll feel that one out. I won't commit one way or the other at the moment, but typically first and third Thursday of the month, and then the first Thursday in June being our end of the year banquet. So thank you so much. I'll hang out for a minute if you're still thinking of your questions, but thank you so much for joining. I hope that was informative. Hope it was informative, and that as you pray, that God will guide you as to whether or not this is the right thing for your family. Thank you, guys.